Hi, my name is Hector. I'm the co-director of Davon Investments, and Davon Investments is a mezzanine lender in the residential development space, and we lend facilities for second charge resi development from 50,000 to 250,000 in the south of the UK. We were using several different bits of software to accomplish our administration management of our loans. We were using Excel spreadsheets for calculating interest. We were using Word documents for creating statements. We were using a third-party CRM software for effectively communicating with borrowers, prospects, other lenders in the space who we work with. And it was a very disjointed function, so we needed something that could bring all those disparate bits together in one place to function seamlessly. A typical example is in terms of using Excel spreadsheets for calculating interest and other aspects of the financial parts of the business. They're prone to sort of fat finger errors, things that can potentially go unfound for a very long time until it becomes a critical issue. So to have a bit of software that was reliable, that we could depend on the outputs based on our inputs was pretty key to us. In terms of the documentation that we were putting together, Word templates, again, needed a lot of manual input of data repeatedly over time. And there was no integration between the information that was going into those documents and the information that potentially was held in spreadsheets or in other places within databases, etc. And again, having several different bits of software that didn't communicate with each other proved to be a very difficult process in terms of managing the business. Well, it's been something that we have been looking at for a very long time, but because of the nature and scale of our business, the existing products that were out there weren't suitable for our business, essentially. We needed something that we could have some input in creating, not necessarily creating the software itself, but making sure that it was adaptable to our business. And the solutions that were out there were for much larger businesses on a much larger scale, and very expensive as a result. So there weren't any obvious solutions. Although we had that requirement for a very long time, there weren't any solutions out there that fit our business model. My co-director received an email from Vector Finsoft talking about the software, and he asked me to look into it and sort of evaluate the offer that was on the table, and contacted Vector Finsoft, and the rest is history, as they say. There were three main issues: time, cost, and infrastructure. With regard to time, it was important to understand how long it would take to get the system up and running, and to be able to transition from a old system to the new FoxHub system, essentially. Talking through the process with Vector Finsoft, we understood what time was involved, what our input had to be, what their input would be, and how that would manifest itself over time, essentially. Secondly, the issue of cost. FoxHub were very transparent in terms of what the cost would be. We dealt with that pretty much day one or day two, so we all knew where we stood in terms of cost, and it was within the bounds of what was acceptable to us, so that aspect of it was easily satisfied. And finally, infrastructure, because it was important for us to know how we would go about implementing the software into our existing IT infrastructure. We are using a Apple Mac-based system, At the time, Vectorsoft was designed for a Windows-based system, so there was an obvious concern on all parts about how you would get over that particular issue. But a solution was found, and we utilized virtualization software, which enabled us to run FoxHub on our existing Mac system. So that issue was put to bed as well. It was very easy. It was either FoxHub or nothing. We'd have to go back to what we were doing before because there wasn't anything in the market comparable to FoxHub that worked for us. So it was that or nothing. The first one is time. Many of the processes that we were doing previously in terms of administering our loan book, they were manually intensive processes. So in terms of putting information into Excel spreadsheets, running calculations on interest, generating statements and reports, they were all easily done with 1 or 2 clicks. And as an example, as the end of month process comes into focus, we essentially can create our statements, run our interest calculations with essentially half a dozen clicks. Previously, it would take us between 2 members of staff, probably 4 hours of work to do the same thing at the end of the month. So the immediate and obvious difference was the time that we were able to save. Secondly, was the quality of the information that was being created. Because as I alluded to before, there are obvious issues with Excel spreadsheets and generating information and being comfortable that there aren't any hidden errors, there aren't any hardwired errors in your spreadsheets that create an issue at some point in time. And the quality of the information that was generated from LAMS, we felt 100% comfortable with. So that put to one side any of our concerns with regard to the quality of information that was being provided. And finally, the key thing was integration. Again, because it's effectively a one-stop shop, all the information that we need in terms of tracking from the first contact that we've had from a prospective borrower to redeeming that particular loan, all of that can be done within the suite of bits of software that are in FoxHub, from generating your first statement to generating your last and everything in between. It's been transformational because, as I said, for years we've tried to find something that would do exactly what we need it to do. FoxHub basically does it. So it's transformed the way we are doing our business, and it essentially frees up time to focus on the key things: finding the clients, doing the due diligence, and getting the loans written. Again, it comes back to the first time we ran our end-of-month process, and we're actually able to test the system, see it generate statements, see it generate interest calculations, see it generate the transactions that we then imported into our accounting system with, as I alluded to before, virtually half a dozen clicks of a mouse button, and it was done. And that in itself made us think, yeah, we made the right choice here. Easy, because the key focus of any lending business is working with borrowers and brokers to get deals done. And the key element of being able to do that is having the time to have that interaction with borrowers and brokers, to do the work in terms of seeing sites, doing due diligence. FoxHub just frees up time to focus on the key aspects of the business, the things that are really important to you and your borrowers. It allows you time to do that. And in the background, basically, all the functions that need to be done are being dealt with on a single platform.